Hello everyone, I'm Autobot Sonic the Telltale Gamer, bringing you the latest on everything Telltale Games, Transformers, and more. So, it's finally that time. Finally, the final episode of The Walking Dead, A New Frontier, is upon us. A couple of weeks ago, Telltale revealed the key art and release date for the final episode of The Walking Dead, A New Frontier, Episode 5 from the Gallows. It'll be coming out tomorrow, May 30th, for Xbox One, PS4, PC, iOS, and Android devices. And I gotta say, this key art looks incredible. So, along with this, Telltale also released two trailers. There's the official Episode 5 launch trailer, and then there was sort of a Your Choices trailer. Now, Telltale's done this a lot in the past. They did this all the time with The Walking Dead Season 1. They did it a little bit with The Walking Dead Michonne, and they also did it with the final episode of Game of Thrones Season 1. And while that's more talking about the season of New Frontier as a whole, it does include some clips from Episode 5, so we're going to go ahead and go over that too. But for now, we're going to go ahead and look over the key art for Episode 5. So the first thing that pops up probably to everyone on this key art, and I'm just going to say it right now, is the way Kate looks in this trailer. So now if you'll remember from the end of Episode 4, Kate was in the armored truck that was going to get Javi and Clementine out of the courtyard of Richmond, but then some guy throws a Molotov at the truck. She crashes it into an oil tanker, and that oil tanker explodes. And so we didn't know if Kate was alive or dead. Well, it looks like she's alive, but who knows what cost or for how long. We see her, at least the right side of her face is all covered in scorch marks. Her eyes are bloodshot. It looks like she's turned into a walker. Though to me, I feel like her skin's most likely charred from burning, and you can obviously see on her neck, it does look like those look like burn scars to me. Her eyes are probably bloodshot because of some veins being blown open in them by the explosion from the fuel tanker. So right now we know that Kate did survive the actual explosion, but we don't know if she'll survive the actual episode. Now that's out of the way, we're going to go ahead to what the other second most important thing in this screenshot, in this key art is, and that is Javi and Clementine riding a motorcycle Jurassic World style. Now, if you couldn't get any more Walking Dead, closer to the TV show, you have Javi and Clementine riding a motorcycle. Now, the motorcycle actually shows up a couple times in both trailers, I think. So it looks like they might be using this to get out of Richmond or something. This is their escape method. And it's funny, because I said back in way in my analysis of the episode 1 and 2 launch show, I thought, oh, Clementine, looks like Clementine's riding a motorcycle. Well, she is now riding a motorcycle, but Javi's driving it. So that's interesting. To the right of Javi and Clementine, we see these walkers attacking Badger's truck. Now, we can't see who's in the truck, though, but I assume this will probably be maybe, if you save, depending on who you saved at the end of Episode 4, Trip or Ava, they'll probably be trying to make an escape with Eleanor and probably everyone else in this car, and it gets attacked by walkers, and they'd probably save them from that, not much else. But one thing that is really surprising to me, if you look on the far left, you see Jesus riding in on horseback with a sword, swashing zombies like he's Michonne. Now, if you don't remember from back in my episode 1 and 2 analysis trailer video, I did mention, oh, Jesus doesn't look like the way he should look in a time jump. This is that picture. This is how Jesus looks like after the 4-year time jump in the Walking Dead comic books. However, in New Frontier, we're only 2 years. This is 2 years after that time jump. So therefore, we still have another 2 years to go before a new beginning starts. But this point, Jesus now has his new beginning look. We see him wearing all armor from the kingdom. He's got him a sword that people at the hilltop made. He's riding on a horse. So my question is, though, how will Jesus turn, what will Jesus' effect in the story be? Why would he be coming back? Because if you remember in episode 2 and 3, the reason why Jesus was with us was because he was looking for people that he lost in contact with at Richmond. And then in episode 3, when he leaves, he says that he thinks that they're all dead anyway, so he's just going to go and head back to Alexandria and Hilltop and tell everyone what happened there. So my question is, why would Jesus be back? I guess we'll have to wait and see and find out, but that's it. So yeah, that's all we have from this key art. I am really excited. This is really exciting. Now we're going to go ahead and play the Your Choices trailer, and then go over all the new stuff in that trailer.
You know, I pray for daughters. Every night your mother was pregnant with both of you. Please, God, a daughter. Anything but a son. Anything but another me. Legacy, Javier. It's all anyone leaves behind. Be brothers before it's too late.
This season is absolutely about family, and family is about what you bring to it.
At the end of the day, it's a study of humanity and what we really are at our core and where our values lie. And in particular, the question of what is more important, survival or empathy, your life or your soul. And the choices that reflect that, I find, are usually our most powerful. At the very least, are the ones that I remember the most, and I think it's the ones that our fans remember the most as well.
What's important to you is going to be a life or death decision to someone else. You're going to make decisions that lead to characters living, characters dying, and it's going to be about what you care about as a person.
The secrets that you have created, the seeds of emotion that we have planted, whether you knew it or not, are all going to be brought to light here.
One moment can blossom into a completely different emotional experience with a character. Players oftentimes do a thing that they know is going to have consequences, but they can't not be true to the character that they feel they've created. Like my Javi loves Kate, and I don't care if my brother loses his shit. We want to play with that tension. We want the player to kind of choose between what they think might be right and what they know they must do.
We think a lot about the player experience, that they have appealing choices, but appealing doesn't always mean pleasant. Appealing doesn't always mean fun. Appealing might mean the lesser of two evils.
We want to give you these, as we like to call them, rage pausers, where you pause the game and you throw down your controller and you take a walk around the house because you can't decide what you want to do. And there are more moments like that in our finale, so get ready to press that pause button.
So the first thing to point out that's interesting about this trailer is the very first part of the trailer, in which we actually see what the episode 5 flashback is going to be. And once again, it's a flashback for Javier. But what it is, that's surprising about it is actually we see Javi and David's father, Raphael, in this flashback alive. Actually, now if you don't remember, Raphael, who is Javi and David's father, he dies in the beginning of the episode 1 flashback. And then he comes back as a walker. He ends up killing Javi's mom and Hector. So we see them talking. Him talking to David and Javi, basically talking about how apparently legacy is important. And it seems to me a lot like it's going to be foreshadowing the events of episode 5, especially in the end when he tells Javi and David to make up and be brothers for once. And we see David give Javi this really, really, really evil death stare. And as we see in later on in the trailer, that it seems as though the conflict between Javi and David is going to come to a head in this episode. So it's really emphasizing the point that, do you want to be with your family, or are you more of a survivor who doesn't care about what your family thinks? Because that's the whole point of this season. This season is about family. So that this is further emphasizing that point. Now, another interesting thing about this trailer comes about halfway through it. We see when one of the writers for season 3 is talking about like how different choices go in different directions. We see like the Kate and Javi romance subplot. Now it starts showing in episode 1 how you have the option to either kiss Kate or make the gun in my pocket joke, and then it leads to whether or not you held Kate's hand in the episode 2 flashback, then whether or not you rejected Kate or chose to admit your feelings for her in episode 4, and then it leads to a final choice that we haven't seen before: fight David or make peace with David. Now, obviously, I guess if you chose to kiss Kate in episode 1, hold her hand in the episode 2 flashback, and basically do everything pro Kate, David's gonna be fucking pissed at you, and he's gonna try and kill you. Now, what's interesting is we get a little bit of sneak peek of both of the results of both these choices. Now, if you see the fight David option, we see what looks like David obviously going to get ready to beat the shit out of Javi. But what's interesting also as well is the make peace with David option. Now, we don't see much of the make peace with David option. All that we see what appears to be Gabe looking at David in looks like some sort of destroyed city or overgrown. It could be Richmond. Gabe's looking at David, and then David turns around and smiles at him, I think. And then that's literally all we see of the make peace with David option. The trailer is focused more on the fight David option, in which we basically see David lose his shit, and we see him basically punch Javi out when Gabe's watching. That's all about that part. Now, the final important part of this trailer comes in like literally the last 5 seconds of it. We see at first a scene that looks straight out of The Last of Us or some some of the Michael Bay Transformers movies, we have Javi and Clementine riding on a motorcycle, chariot style, with Javi in his baseball bat killing walkers while he's on the motorcycle, which is pretty crazy. We see after that Jesus on a horse outside of the gates of Richmond with a hilltop sword and his kingdom armor on. We see this crazy part that's like of Clementine swinging on a helicopter blade across a highway, a collapsed highway. I don't know where Telltale thinks of this stuff, but it is awesome. We just like, why? How does Clementine have the strength to go on a helicopter blade and fly across this destroyed highway or overpass? And then we get to the final part in which David pulls this wrench out of a toolbox while Gabe watches, and he's getting ready to beat the shit out of Javi, as we see here. It looks like they're at the gates of Richmond right here, and then that's where the trailer ends. So it's crazy to say the least, but now we're going to go over the episode 5 launch trailer, see what we can learn from that.
You have to take care of each other before it's too late.
Oh, God! Kate! Where's Kate? She's gone. We're in a war. We're never going home.
I've been here before. It's not gonna end well for everyone.
Fight. Fight for our name. For our family. I hardly have any family left. Time for you to finally learn what blood really means! What do you have to say for yourself, brother?
Okay, so just like the Your Choices trailer, the episode 5 launch trailer starts off with David beating the shit out of Javi. We see, while during this whole thing, we also see, Raphael retelling his, speech to, David and Javi in the flashback. We see this quick shot of Javi and David circling each other. We see Badger's truck in the background. It looks like this is the tool shed that we got the armored truck from back in episode 4. It looks like that kind of area. We see David tackling Javi, grab the wrench again, and getting ready to beat the shit out of Javi. After that, we get this shot. We get a retelling of the episode 4 ending of Kate crashing into the tanker and it blowing up. We hear David and Javi talking. It doesn't look like they're it looks like they're right outside by the that you see the tanker in the background here behind Javi's head, and we see her. Apparently, this is after David, I guess, runs off to deal with Joan / Clint. So David goes to tell Javi he asks him where Kate is, and Javi says, "Oh, she's gone," because who could survive an explosion from a truck like that? We see more shots of a destroyed Richmond. We hear David saying, "Oh, we're at war." Where we have this shot, it's raining. Javi's not looking too good. He's looking down as he holds his gun. He looks like he did something that's really fucked up. I'm feeling right now he had to either kill Kate as a walker or kill David. That's what I'm thinking at that point. We see this shot here that's very reminiscent of The Walking Dead Season 1, Episode 5, of Javi and David looking on this large building over a huge swarm of walkers underneath them, very reminiscent of when Lee and everyone were on top of the hospital in Episode 5 of Season 1. During this, also, Clementine says that she's been here before and that it doesn't end well for anyone. Now, to me, this seems like she's referring to the events of either Season 1, Episode 5, or Season 2, Episode 3, in which both cases, she was around people swarmed by walkers, and everyone died. Season 1, Episode 5, Ben died, Kenny almost died, Lee died, Omid and Krista later died. Well, we don't know what happened to Krista. Or if we talk this about Season 2, Episode 3, where Troy died, Carlos died, Sarah died, Sarita died. And so basically she's saying, like, "Oh, listen, I've had this gone through this shit twice. You're all gonna die." We see this shot afterwards of Javi, David, Gabe, and Clementine climbing over this fallen down billboard. It looks to me very reminiscent of The Last of Us. This episode 5 right here. And then as we come here to this review of IGN saying uncharted territory and excitingly fresh, we see David walking up to this clapped highway, and there is the helicopter that Clementine swings across to jump. So I guess we're all this is how we get across the highway. Looks like it could be possible. Are we heading to the McCarroll Ranch that Dr. Lingard said where AJ is? That's what I feel like might be happening. I feel like we're leaving Richmond right now. This could be the make peace with David option, in which because this is what I think. I feel like if we choose to fight David, we'll fight him early on in the episode, possibly kill him, and then Javi, Gabe, and Clementine alone will go to the McCarroll Ranch to get AJ. Otherwise, if you chose to make peace with David, David will go with Javi, Gabe, and Clementine to go find AJ instead. After that, we see Javi is still looking pretty bad. It's pouring rain. He's in Richmond. We see his motorcycle in the background. He's tearing up walkers left and right. We see a scene, once again, very reminiscent of Season 1, Episode 5, of Javi jumping this building onto a fire escape, very similar to how Ben died in Season 1. During this whole thing, we also hear Javi saying to someone to fight for a name. I'm assuming he's probably talking to Kate and David, maybe even Clementine as well, as we see this shot of Clementine shooting her gun at someone or something. It could be a walker. I have no idea. We see, looks like we have people from the kingdom alongside Jesus fighting here. And now, this is a huge spoiler, so in case if you don't want to see us turn away right now, right in this shot right here, if you look very closely in the tractor, or the bulldozer, Kate is inside that bulldozer. So this confirms that, once again, while we did do from the episode 5 key art, that Kate did survive the tanker explosion, and she will be helping at least somewhat as she is seen mowing down walkers in the background with this bulldozer. We see Jesus again inside the courtyard of the New Frontier, slashing zombies with his sword. We see another guy behind him, presumably from the Kingdom or Hilltop, fighting with him. We see another look at him. This other guy is with Jesus right here in the bottom right corner of the screen. Doesn't look like someone we've met before. I think he's just a random Kingdom or New Alexandrian. We see David killing walkers. Another shot of Javi and Clementine driving through the New Frontier with on the motorcycle. Here we have the shot of walkers attacking Badger's truck. We have no idea why though. So I assume possibly Clementine, Tripp, and everyone are hiding out in here, and walkers are coming in on them. That has to be the only reason. We see this shot right here of Gabe looking really scared for some reason. Now, if you look closely, this is actually the execution place. This is from the end of episode 4, and it's raining now. So I guess this could be during the fight with Javi and David, or it could be something else. I feel like that's towards the end of the episode. We see this shot of a walker about to bite Javi, David killing a walker, a repeat of the shot of Clementine and Javi on the motorcycle killing walkers with baseball bats, and we finally have this one shot of David putting Javi into a chokehold with a wrench, and then it ends with this final shot of David saying, "What do you have to say?" We see Clementine looking at Javi, kind of worried for him, as Javi walks forward with his gun. He's not looking too good, and then sadly aims it at someone, and that's how the trailer ends. So now, who could Javi be aiming the gun at? Now, to me, two choices show up. To me, it's definitely either David or Kate. If it's Kate, it's either she's turned into a walker now, and Javi's put her down. And if it's David, either during their fight, Javi accidentally gravely injures David and has to put him out of his misery, or perhaps, maybe even that, David dies, comes back as a walker, and Javi has to put him down too. It could be that as well. But anyway, that is all we can tell from these two trailers of The Walking Dead: A New Frontier Episode 5 from the Gallows. Are you excited for the end of what very may be the entire Walking Dead series? If you are, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys later.